Looking at homes today, it's clear we've started designing for the nursery instead of the inhabitant. See, we want the life that plants bring, but we're struggling with all this clutter. Most people think the answer is just one more plant, but that kind of just adds to the noise. For the last 7 years, I've been an architect and plant enthusiast, and I've really tried to solve this problem. Specifically, the fact of how do we add life to the room without taking away the peace. So today I'm going to share 5 principles that will help you shift your perspective. And it's all about how to design with plants that can serve your life as opposed to housing your collection. Look, I'm not a guru, I'm just a guide sharing my perspective so that your home can finally breathe. Let's get into it. The first principle is scale over quantity, right? Having a lot of plants in a room adds a lot of whispering. So here, I think it's all about silencing that, and let's go for one hero piece as opposed to a collection of small little plants. See, I know it's nice to have, your entire nursery collection sort of sitting there in the corner, but it's not really adding to the serenity and the peacefulness of your home, right? It's like a conversation. There's a lot of talking and whispering going on. That's not really clear. So I think by having one large specimen or 2 or 3 that really have the presence can create that silence and that peace and kind of room to breathe that most homes need, right? So I think by doing this, it's going to also kind of challenge you as a plant parent, because I think growing that hero specimen is going to take a lot, out of you, or it's going to take a lot to get there. It's going to take a lot of time and effort. And as a plant lover myself, there's a true beauty in growing specimens like that, as opposed to, a small plant that you got a month ago you can put on the shelf. That's great, but what about the plant that you've had for 4 or 5 years? The plant that's really upsized, the plant that has the massive leaves, the plant that you've really cared for the longest. That plant's going to speak so much more than all those little ones. The next principle is to use light as the primary grid. Now, I know these days grow lights are sort of really popular, but I might be a little bit sort of in my own space here, but I'm not the biggest fan of all of them. So by letting light be your primary design grid, it's going to allow you to sort of plan your space with obviously the light that you have, right? All of us have different forms of light. Some people might have good eastern morning sun in their house. Some people like me have a lot of afternoon sun. Now using that as a tool is going to help you build and shift your collection to the way it should be, because naturally plants are going to need sun. And if you put the plants in their natural spots in your home, it's going to give that naturalistic, cohesive look, as opposed to having a ton of plants in some random shelf with a lot of grow lights in a really shady spot in your house. Look, I'm not opposed to grow lights at all. I even have some, but I think these days people have just taken it a little bit too far. And if you're one of those people and you're looking for a more sort of design forward home, I would begin to prioritize the light first, and then, really if you still don't have the space and still struggling, then add in the grow lights. But the grow light sort of era is not the greatest for me as a plant lover and designer. See, if you follow the light, the room is going to feel a lot more natural, because it's going to follow the sort of laws of physics, right? And your plants are going to really also thrive in those sort of spaces. Now, it limits us, but I think that could be a good thing. Principle 3 is the breathing wall or soft partitions using plants. Now, I know we can set up our space and create layouts with the furniture that we have, but my aim here in this sort of principle is to use plants to create these breathing walls, right? And to sort of break up spaces. You have your office, you have your lounge, dining. My argument is that you can use plants as a partition to sort of break up these spaces. And not only is a plant such a beautiful thing, it's also a very breathable, permeable partition. Now, I think that can add a bit of flavor into your home. It can really make small apartments feel very organized instead of feeling a little bit closed in. So I think having that nature in can sometimes make spaces feel bigger, obviously, like I said, organized, and bring that natural feel in that we all love. Okay, the next principle is functional zoning. Now that means that whatever plant you choose to put in a space is dictated by what the purpose of that space is, right? So a kitchen is different to an office, right? And an office is different to a bedroom. For example, in a bedroom, you want that calm, serenity sort of feeling. And I believe you should put a plant there that can accompany that vibe, right? So whatever plant that is for you, for me, it's, I think in the bathroom, it's some ferns and some hanging plants in the bathrooms. Just create that, I don't know, cleanliness feel, so to speak. In the kitchen, perhaps something different. But my argument here is that this principle will get you thinking a little bit, right? Thinking, what is the space for, its purpose, and how can a plant serve that sort of space in an efficient way and in a sort of practical but yet designer sense. Okay, so this next principle is the fourth dimension, right? And that's time. So I think if you keep plants and you keep them for long enough, there's a sense of time that comes into play, right? So the older a plant gets, the more stories it can tell. And I think in a sense of this is just general plant keeping. But having that fourth dimension in a house can also have a bit of interest to your home, right? So if somebody visits you now and then they visit you again in a year, your plants will have shown that year's worth of growth, right? And it will show how time has sort of proceeded. I mean, some of my plants, it makes me feel older because some of them I've had for 7 years and they're now just growing wild, and it's like we've come a long way. So adding that sort of element of time into your home creates a bit of interest. It makes things ever changing, especially if we work outside here, right? Which is, I know, not what a lot of us who have apartments, are keen on or think about. But, hedges can really form over time. Creeping plants can creep over walls, and houses can age in that way using plants. And I think if we keep this in mind, it helps our planning and those sort of things. It just adds a little bit of interest to it. So if you're going to take anything from this, it's that your house shouldn't be an ongoing project, right? It should be a space that really serves and works for you. You don't need a high-end shopping list. You just need the right planning and support. Thanks for watching the video, guys. If you've enjoyed it, please drop a like. If you want to add to this sort of discussion, please do so in the comments, and I will see you in the next one.